to each of you who are preparing yourselves for our Wednesday night walking through the Word Bible class. Listen, do me a favor, go ahead and like and share this post. Thank you for those of you who called in for our intercessory prayer time. Again, we are doing our walking through the Word Bible class as a virtual moment. So we're asking that you would continue to log in the many different outlets that we've prepared for you to take advantage of this Bible class experience. Thank you to those of you who logged on to the intercessory prayer call. Thank you to our intercessors, Sister Johnson, Reverend Young, and we appreciate you so much for your efforts and your work. God bless you and God keep you. Thank you for staying on the wall and staying consistent through this endeavor. Listen, thank you for hope and pray that on Sunday morning that you were blessed by the word of God in Genesis. And what I want to do with you on this evening is to really prepare our hearts and minds from the book of Genesis again. There's something I want to look at in Genesis with you tonight, and it's in Genesis 1, verse number 28. Genesis 1, verse number 28. Those of you who are getting your Bibles, go ahead and get to Genesis 1, verse number 28, and join in with us for this moment of teaching. And so we appreciate you so very much. And so Genesis 1, verse 28, Genesis 1, verse number 28 reads on this wise. He says, then God blessed them, verse number 28, I apologize. Then God blessed them. Then God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish in the sea, the birds of the air, and every living thing that moves upon the earth. And then God did what? He blessed them. I want to look at this tonight and really look at this beginning, as we alluded to Sunday, and God moved, God spoke, God looked, and then God divided, right, and gave instructions and separation. And with those separations came instructions. Let's pause for a minute and look at the beginning point for Adam and Eve, and when God created the structure and when God put things in place. Let's look at the beginning point, right? How powerful their start is. I want you to just pause and think about that for a minute. How powerful their start is. If you look at Genesis 1, verse 28, look at their start. Then God did what? He blessed them. Such a powerful start. He blessed them. I think that's significant because if we're going to exercise the power that's on the inside of us, right? Because you're powerful. And that's really what I want to highlight on this Wednesday night experience, that you're powerful. You are powerful. As a matter of fact, I want you to type that on the screen and encourage somebody else and tell them how powerful they really are. Because their start is that God, He blessed them, right? He blessed them. In other words, He gave them a powerful start. He blessed them. They were blessed from the start of it, right? Isn't it amazing that sometimes we can minimize where we are because we get so enticed, or we start focusing on what other people have or what's happening around us, or we start having an appetite for something that we don't have because we think it's better than what we have, right? Just think about it for a minute. He blessed them. He granted unto them a powerful start. God blessed them. I don't want you to ignore that. I want to overemphasize that. I want to repeat that. I want to be redundant about that because it's a powerful start. And I want to encourage you, people of God, that There is something great on the inside of you that's powerful, but until you accept it, until you are confident of it, until it's concrete, until it's embedded into your spirit, there'll always potentially be this searching or feeling like you're missing something. But when this first couple starts out, when Adam and Eve starts out, God blessed them. That is their start. That is their positive start. That is their posture, and God blessed them. Can I suggest to you, can I suggest to you or encourage you for this moment to let you know that you're blessed? You are blessed. Then, Pastor, when you say God bless them, what does that mean to be blessed? How do I know I'm blessed? Right? Look at this. I want you to just pause, just walk through this with me. This is Walking Through the Word Bible class. Just walk through this with me. Why are they blessed? I would dare to highlight that the reason that they are blessed is because God has purpose for them. Type that on the screen. They are blessed because God has purpose for them. He has purpose. And because he has purpose for them, it highlights their value, but it also highlights the trust that God has in the ability that he's given them. Because God never puts you in a place or position or guides you to a place that he does not think that you can excel at based upon what he's already given you. And I don't want you to miss that. Because a lot of times we have the tendency to feel like we're inadequate or we don't have the resources or the tools to catapult to the place of success because we feel like we need more. When God has already made declaration to this first couple, you are blessed. I've given you everything that you need. I trust you. I've given you the ability to succeed. I've given you not only the ability, but I've given you the structure and the environment to excel in. And God bless them, puts them in position for success. Is it possible, people of God, that the reason that you don't feel like what you have or what God has blessed you with is because you're trying to work outside of the structure that he's put in place for you? Their biggest assignment, their only assignment is to honor God within the structure that he's put in place for them. That's what their assignment is. To honor God right in the midst of that structure. Well, how do you honor him? You honor him by being obedient to him, and you are obedient to him. Why? Because he's blessed you. Makes good sense to me, people of God. Because he's blessed you. Let's look at this. It's a positive starting posture. Then God bless them. Right? Don't allow anything to derail you from the place and the structure that God has given you for your success. Don't allow anything to derail you from the place and the structure that God has put in place for you for your success. They're taking away your blessing. If God has created a structure for you, he's trust that the ability that he's granted unto you can succeed and excel in this structure. Why would you allow anybody to pull you from that place when that's the place that God has designed or blessed for you to be. Again, we're talking about the power and the value that's in you as a result of the creation of the Creator and how He created us and how He set us up for success. And it's a positive starting posture. Type that on the screen. He's given me a positive starting posture. Why? Because He blessed me and God blessed them. Right? He blessed them. Secondly, people of God, not only do I want to talk about a powerful starting posture, but secondly, I want to talk about the standard of productivity. Because you're valuable, because you're powerful, right? You're blessed. God has given you a positive start, right? But right in the midst of that positive start, God is requiring of you productivity. Because He's giving you everything that you need to be successful, He wants productivity from you. He wants you to produce. Put Bible on it. Genesis 1 verse 28. Look what he says. Look what the Bible says. He says, be fruitful and multiply. Be fruitful and multiply. In other words, you have the ability to get it done, but are you willing to get it done because you know how to stick and excel within the structure that God has placed you in? God delivered me from people who constantly, consistently kick against the structure that God puts in place for their lives. God delivered me from that group who constantly, consistently aborts or disrupts the structure that God has put in place. And you're trying to figure out, well, why am I not productive? Because you're outside of structure. Good God Almighty. Why am I not succeeding? Because you're outside of the structure. And the structure is where the blessing is. Remember, and God blessed them? Yeah, He put them in within this structure, within the confines of limitations, to say, here's the place that you're going to excel from, but you have to be productive in this place. You have the ability for production, but are you willing to stay within the structure so you can produce? Is it possible that you are not producing because you've gotten outside of the structure and the plan God has for your life? Good God from Zion. Let me get back to limitations, because a lot of times when you think about limitation, people want to attach a negative connotation to limitations. But limitations are really, really great. Limitations are great because they keep you within your goal structure. And what you're saying is that I am trusting that I'm going to be successful with the structure that God has put in place for me. And I'm going to work within those parameters and with those limitations. And that's not a negative, because I'm operating and producing in the place that God has done what? Blessed me to be. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. But you think about this first couple, and we got to get back to the beginning of this thing, because I think if we're going to write it and make it correct, we've got to get back to see, where did it get off? When did I leave the structure? When did I leave the place that God has blessed me to be? When did I leave the structure? And then you got to ask yourself this question. I can't answer it for you. You got to ask yourself this question. What drove me away from my blessed place? What drove me away from my blessed place? How did I get off? How did I get off? Because when you got off, You lost productivity. You lost productivity. And you're trying to figure out, well, why am I not producing? Why am I not producing? Because you got away from the structure. It wasn't God's fault because he gave you a positive start. He gave you a positive start, a positive posture, a good starting place. He said, you're blessed. I've given you everything that you need to succeed. That's blessed. I've given you the structure that you need to excel in. That's blessed. I've trusted you to carry out what my vision is for the people who will be attached to you for their lives. That's blessed. You got to produce within the structure. We're so quick to kick against the structure. I'm talking about the structure of your own life. Because if you're going to unlock that dynamite and that power on the inside of you, you got to stick within your own goal structures. God has given you, he's blessed you. Positive posture. He's gotten you off to a very good start. He's giving you everything that you need for success. What has happened? What has happened that you're not producing? Right? He says, I've given you a positive posture, but I'm also giving you a standard for productivity. It's right in the Bible. I didn't write it. The standard of productivity. Be fruitful, right? Multiply, fill the earth, subdue it, have dominion, everything that you need. He says, but you've got to walk in that posture that I started you with. Why? So you can reach the standard of productivity. What are you producing? What are you producing? He's granted unto you positive posture. You're blessed. He says, I'm going to give you positive posture because you're blessed. There's power on the inside of you. I've given it to you. I've released it unto you. He says, but I got to give you the standard of productivity. You got to produce. You got to be fruitful. You got to multiply. You got to have dominion. Subdue it. That's what I want from you. What are we producing? Are we working within that structure? Are we operating from the place of being blessed? Are you operating from the place of being blessed? The place where God has positioned you, the place where God has set you. Are you operating from there? Or is your productivity dwindling? Because you got outside of the structure. Your structure for your life. What does that look like for you? Are you maximizing? Are you producing? What does that structure look like for you? What have you done within the structure and the parameters that God has placed on your life? What are you doing? What does that look like for you? Have you started operating outside of that structure? And as a result, there's no productivity. You're not producing anything. What are you doing? He's giving you every tool that you need, right? Operating outside the structure. What happens when we're not reaching the standard of productivity. Is it possible that you're operating outside the structure, or you shifted the standard? Have you shifted the standard of productivity? You say, well, I don't really have to do that. I don't have to do that part. The blessing, and God bless them, and the standard of productivity are aligned. If you're going to remain blessed, then you have to do so as a result of the standard of productivity in which God has clearly indicated, this is what I want you doing. Because somebody want to know, well, what's the structure? Well, the structure is what God has required of you. Be fruitful. Structure. Multiply. It's the standard of productivity. And until we operate in that place, we negate the fact that we're blessed. Because we're operating outside of the will of God and the assignment that He's placed upon our lives. The standard of productivity. But people of God, thirdly, and I'm running. It's not a temporary structure, right? The structure that God gave Adam and Eve wasn't temporary. It was a permanent structure. It was a permanent structure. I don't want you to miss that. But because we like to get cliche and cute when it comes to certain aspects of our lives. Well, that God has me in a new season. But it's the same structure. Because once He has given you the assignment, once He has shared with you, here's what I want you to do. You can, number one, you can't shift the standard. And think, okay, this is a standard now. No, you have to stay with the standard of productivity that God has permanently placed on the inside of you. It's not a season where it changes. He didn't say to Adam and Eve, once the season change, winter or fall, then you get the opportunity to do something else. That's not how this works. The structure that God has placed you in, and with, again, this piece of the permanent, that the structure is not temporary. The structure is permanent, that God has placed us in. And you got to make sure, people of God, that we are working within the structure that He's put in place for you. It's imperative. It is from that place that propels us to success. It's from that place that propels us to that place of unlocking the power and potential that we have on the inside of us. Again, we talked about that. We talked about in Genesis and how he spoke to them and said, first of all, first and foremost, He starts them with a good posture. You're blessed. Phenomenal posture. You are blessed. Gives them a good start. Then He says to give them the standard of their production. Be fruitful, multiply. The standard of their productivity. Then He says, so subdue it and have dominion. Which really talks about the permanency of the position that He's placed you in. Don't abort the structure. Don't abort that permanent place that God has positioned you to propel you to the place of success. Again, we're talking about unlocking the power that's on the inside of you. Why? Because you're going to stay at that place of being blessed. And I want to encourage you, people of God, the structure that's in place for your life. Work within the success, work within that structure. Doesn't mean that you have limitations. It actually means that direct opposite. It actually means that God is going to propel you to a place from that place of structure. I hope you've been blessed tonight. I love you. God bless you and God keep you. We look forward to hanging out with you on Sunday morning. Don't forget to join us for Sunday morning worship. Is all I'm asking of you. Mount Calvary, those are friends. Join us on Sunday mornings for worship. Please govern yourselves to the announcements that you heard on Sunday. I know it's Clergy Appreciation Month. I know our youth department is having a fall festival. I know those things are on your mind. So make sure you're supporting and doing what you can to support ministry and make it go. God bless you. God keep you is my prayer. Until next time.